Welcome to the History Vault. Some doors were never meant to be opened. Some questions outlive everyone who ever dared to ask them. Here are 6 mysteries that history still cannot explain. Number 6. In 1901, sponge divers working off the Greek island of Antikythera surfaced from the wreck of an ancient ship. Among the marble statues and corroded coins, they hauled up a shapeless lump of bronze and rock. For months it sat ignored in a museum, until the wood holding it cracked apart and revealed something impossible. Inside were gears. Dozens of finely cut bronze wheels, meshed together like the inside of a clock. The device dates to roughly the 2nd century before the Common Era, more than 2,000 years ago. By turning a small hand crank, it modeled the motion of the sun, the moon, and the 5 planets the ancients knew. It tracked the phases of the moon, predicted eclipses years in advance, and even followed the 4-year cycle of the ancient games. Nothing approaching this complexity would appear anywhere in the world for well over 1,000 years. When the knowledge to build it vanished completely, as if it had never existed. We still do not know who designed it, who it was made for, or whether others like it once existed. Only this single, sea-eaten fragment remains, quietly keeping the name of its maker. Number 5. In the dry hills of southeastern Turkey stands a place older than writing, older than the wheel, older than farming itself. Gobekli Tepe was raised around 11,600 years ago. That makes it roughly 6,000 years older than Stonehenge and the pyramids of Egypt. Its builders quarried and stood enormous T-shaped pillars of limestone, the largest weighing as much as 10 tons. Across the stone they carved foxes, scorpions, vultures, wild boars, and coiling snakes in careful relief. And here is the detail that unsettles archaeologists. The people who built it were hunter-gatherers. There were no cities, no agriculture, no metal tools, and no pottery anywhere in the world. Somehow, people who had never planted a field organized hundreds of hands to move stones the size of trucks. For a century, we assumed farming came first, and that surplus food allowed temples and cities to follow. Gobekli Tepe suggests the opposite, that the urge to gather and build may have come first, and farming followed to feed it. Then, for reasons no one can explain, its builders deliberately buried the entire complex under tons of earth. Most of the site still lies underground, its true purpose sealed beneath the soil. Number 4. Inside a climate-controlled vault at Yale University sits a book that no living person can read. The Voynich Manuscript runs to roughly 240 pages of flowing, looping handwriting. Its animal skin pages have been carbon dated to the early 1400s, so the book itself is genuinely old. But the text inside matches no known language, alphabet, or cipher in human history. The pages overflow with plants that grow nowhere on Earth, swirling star charts, and tiny figures bathing in strange green pools. Some sections look medical, others astronomical, others almost like a recipe book for the impossible. The codebreakers who cracked enemy ciphers in both world wars studied it for years and walked away defeated. Yet the writing is not random. It follows the statistical patterns of real language, the way words repeat and cluster. So is it a forgotten language, an unbreakable code, or the most elaborate and patient hoax ever made? It has passed through the hands of emperors, alchemists, and scholars, and resisted every one of them. After 600 years, not one sentence has ever been confirmed as solved. Number 3. On the night of August 15, 1977, a radio telescope in Ohio was quietly listening to deep space. Its mission was to scan the sky for any signal that might come from an intelligent civilization. For 72 seconds, something answered. A narrow, intent burst of radio waves arrived at almost exactly the frequency scientists had predicted aliens might use. It was far stronger than the background hum of the cosmos, and it rose and fell exactly as a signal from the stars should. When an astronomer reviewed the printout days later, he circled the reading and scrawled one word in the margin. Wow! The signal came from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius, toward the heart of our galaxy. Astronomers have pointed telescopes at that exact patch of sky again and again for decades. It has never returned. Not once. Proposed culprits range from a passing comet to earthly interference, but none of them fully fit the evidence. For 72 seconds, the universe may have spoken to us, and then it fell silent forever. Number 2. On the morning of December 1st, 1948, a man was found dead on Somerton Beach in Adelaide, Australia. He was well dressed and propped against the seawall, with no wounds and no sign of a struggle. He carried no wallet, no papers, nothing at all to reveal who he was. Every single label had been carefully cut from his clothing. When police searched him closely, they found a tiny scrap of paper sewn into a hidden pocket. On it were two printed words in Persian. Tamam shud. The phrase means ended or finished. It had been torn from a rare edition of a book of Persian poetry, the Rubaiyat. That exact book was later found nearby, and penciled inside it was a string of capital letters that looks like a code. Cryptographers have studied those letters for over 70 years, and never cracked them. His cause of death was never confirmed, though many suspected a rare and untraceable poison. Recent DNA and genealogy work may finally have given him a name, an engineer from Melbourne. But why he died, why he erased his own identity, and what the code means are still unanswered. Number 1. In the winter of 1959, 9 experienced hikers set out into the frozen northern Ural Mountains of Russia. They were students and graduates, fit, well-trained, and entirely at home in deep snow. When they missed their return date, rescuers followed their trail to a bare, wind-scoured slope. They found the tent first, and it stopped them cold. It had been slashed open from the inside. The hikers had cut their way out and fled downhill into a screaming blizzard, in the dark, many of them barefoot or half-dressed. In temperatures far below freezing, that is a choice no trained mountaineer makes unless something is terribly wrong. Their bodies were found scattered across the slope and in a ravine over the following weeks. Some had simply frozen to death. Others had injuries that are far harder to explain. There were crushed ribs and a shattered skull, the kind of damage seen in high-speed crashes, yet with almost no outer wounds. Faint traces of radiation were detected on a few scraps of their clothing. Theories range from a sudden slab avalanche, to violent mountain winds, to a wave of panic triggered by sound below human hearing. A recent study even modeled how a small avalanche could account for some of the injuries. But more than 60 years on, no single explanation accounts for everything found on that mountain. 9 people ran from their only shelter into a winter night, and only their silence ever came back. 6 mysteries, scattered across centuries and continents. An ancient computer, a buried temple, and a book no one can read. A signal from the stars, a nameless body, and 9 hikers lost in the snow. Each one was studied by brilliant minds, with the best tools of their time. And each one, in the end, simply kept its secret. For every mystery we finally solve, the past seems to hand us a new one. Maybe that is why they pull at us. They remind us how much we still do not know. History keeps its secrets, we only get to borrow the questions. Some mysteries we may never solve. Subscribe to the History Vault, and we will open the next door together.